As we begin to wrap up our strategies for division, our last method that we are going to be looking at is our standard long division method. Unfortunately, they don't provide a lesson for this in our textbooks, which means there is not a lesson in our math journals or our HomeLink books. So this is a lesson that I will be teaching you, and then I'm going to assign 2 worksheets on our Google Classroom that you will complete after this lesson. So you won't be doing anything in your HomeLinks books after this. You will be doing 2 worksheets that will be on our Google Classroom. So for long division, I have a mnemonic device that I made in this table that I will also post on our Google Classroom. So this is the long division family. We have Daddy, Mommy, sister, brother, and our dog Rover. So for D, we have divide. For M, we have multiply. For S, we have subtract. For B, we have bring down. And for R, we have repeat or our remainder. So this, I will, like I said, I will post this on our Google Classroom, and you guys can use this mnemonic device to help you remember the steps used for long division. Hopefully over time you can just remember Daddy, Mommy, sister, brother, Rover without having to look back at this, and that way you constantly have it in your mind of the steps that you need to go through in order to do long division. So we will go ahead and look at it. For right now, I just posted all of our different steps right over here. So I have our D for division, M for multiply, S for subtract, B for bring down, and R for repeat or remainder. So if we look at our first example, I would like to do the problem 96 divided by 4. So if we look at our problem, 96 divided by 4, my first step over here is division. So I'm going to look and see how many times 4 goes into 9 without going over. So immediately I think of my quick math facts, and I think to myself, okay, 4 times 2, oops, that's not times. 4 times 2 equals 8, and I know that 4 times 3 is 12, which is too big. So I'm going to stick with this math fact right here. 4 times 2 equals 8. So when I figure this out, I am going to take this 2 and rewrite it above my 9. So that was our first step of division. So I'll put a check mark. We saw how many times 4 can divide 9 without going over. And we know 4 can go into 9 2 times before going over. My next step is multiplication. So I am going to say 4 times 2 will give me 8. And I'm going to put my 8 right below that 9. So now I multiplied, and my next step is subtract. So I have 9 minus 8 will give me 1. From there, I need to bring down. So I'm going to bring down my next digit, and in this case is our 6. And I can see that I now have 16. And in this step, I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to repeat what I just did. So now I'm going to say, okay, how many times does 4 go into 16 without going over? So now I'm back at the top with division. So 4 goes into 16 4 times. And I know that 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. And when I subtract, I get 0. 4 we know cannot go into 0, so my answer is 24. I hope I have most of you with me. If not, Hopefully it starts to make a little more sense as we do a few more examples. And like always, if there is still confusion after I post this lesson, please, please, please reach out to me. Because like you all know, I love answering questions and I don't want any of you to get behind. I want everyone to know exactly what they're doing. So please reach out if you need to. So let's start over with another problem. Oops, I don't know how we get that back. Well, that's okay, we'll just leave this up. Okay. I will say these out loud since that just accidentally got deleted. So as we go through, I'll make sure I say them out loud. So for our next problem, we have, let's do 192 divided by 3. So my first step over here is division. So first I need to divide. So I need to do 19 divided by 3. So I'm going to say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 19 without going over? So I may off to the side do some quick math facts to see the closest I can get to 19 without going over. So I know immediately 3 times 5 is 15. Can I get a little closer to 19? Let's do 3 times 6, which will give me 18. And I know if I go any higher than 6, I'm going to go over. So now I'm going to take this 6 and place it up top above my 19. Anytime you place a number up top, make sure it always lines up with your digit. So in this case, we have a 2-digit number 19, so I'm going to line it up above that 9. So I have 3 goes into 19 6 times without going over. So I just did division. So check. Now I'm going to multiply. So 3 times 6 is going to give me 18. Multiplication, check. Now a time for subtraction. So 19 minus 18 is going to give me 1. Now I'm going to bring down my next digit, so this 2. And I know immediately that 3 goes, oops, I brought down, and now I need to repeat. So I'm going to divide again, going back up to the top. And I know that 3 goes into 12 in even 4 times. 3 times 4 will give me 12. So now I subtract. 12 minus 12 will give me 0. And I know 3 cannot go into 0, so I'm all done. And my answer is 64. So if we look back at this mnemonic device, we're doing division, multiplication, subtraction, we're bringing our next digit down, and then we usually repeat. So we go back to the top and we divide, then we multiply, then we subtract, then we bring down until we have no numbers left under our division symbol. So let's go ahead and try another example. Our next example, we are going to do 210 divided by 5. So if I look at my mnemonic device, my first step is our dad of our family, or divide. So I have my D over here. So 5 and 21. I'm looking at how many times 5 goes into 21 without going over. And 5s are super easy for me. So I know 5, 10, 15, 20 immediately. 5 goes into 21 4 times without going over. So 5, I just did division, and now I'm going to do multiplication. So 5 times 4 is going to give me 20. Time to subtract. 21 minus 20 is 1. I need to bring down my next digit, which is 0. And when I get to this point, I have to repeat. So I go back to the top, and I'm doing 10 divided by 5, or I'm looking to see how many times 5 goes into 10, and I know immediately that it's 2, because 5 times 2 equals 10. So 5 times 2 equals 10. So I just did division, I just did multiplication. Now I'm going to do subtraction. 10 minus 10 is 0. And I don't have any other digits left to bring down. So I am all set, and my answer here is 42. Now I want to try one more problem with you. I will also post a video of another teacher teaching this, in case maybe that way resonates better with you. So I will post that as well on Google Classroom, so you can watch my video. If you're still confused, you can watch a video of another teacher as well. So let's try 100, that's too big, 163 divided by 6. So I have to think to myself, my first step is division. So I'm going to think, okay, how many times does 6 go into 16 without going over? Again, maybe it's helpful for you to do some math facts off to the side. So I might try 6 times 2 is 12, and I might think to myself, I might be able to get a little closer to 16, so maybe I try 6 times 3. And I realize 6 times 3 is 18, and that's too big. So I have to go back to 6 times 2. I'm going to take this 2 and move it over here. So I'm going to place my 2 up top above my 6. So I just did division. I saw how many times 6 goes into 16 without going over. Or I did 16 divided by 6, and I found that 2 is the greatest I can go into. So I have 6 times 2 is 12. So now I just did multiplication. 16 minus 12 is what I'm going to do next. 6 minus 2 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So I just did subtraction. Now I have to bring down my next digit, which in this case is 3. So I just did the B for bring down, and now I have to repeat. So I'm going to say to myself, okay, how many times does 6 go into 42 without going over? And I know my doubles really well, so I know that 6 times 6 is 36. So I'm going to start there. And I have to think to myself and say, okay, I believe I can get a little closer to 43 without going over. So I'm going to try 6 times 7. And I know that 6 times 7 is 42. And that I know is the closest I can go without going over. So I'm going to take this 7. I'm going to place it up top above my 3. And I know that 6 times 7 is 42. And now I have to subtract. And 43 minus 42 is 1. Uh-oh. Now I'm stuck because 6 cannot go into 1. And I don't have any numbers left to bring down. So in this case, we call this number a remainder. And we would write it as 27 remainder 1. And this is our answer. So that's what I have for you today for our lesson on long division. For you, maybe a different division strategy was more clear or easier to understand. If that's the case, great. I would love for you to stick with that strategy for division. If this method looks nice to you or you felt it was easy, then great. You can use this method for division. It's totally up to you of what preference you want to continue to use moving forward. Me and Mrs. Lambert just wanted to make sure that we presented all the different strategies that you can use for long division. So today I want you guys to use the 2 worksheets that I posted on our Google Classroom along with this video. I want you to complete those 2 worksheets. One of the worksheets, you'll see that all of the answers have a remainder, and the other worksheet, you'll see that all the answers do not have a remainder. So they evenly divide into our number. Again, feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions. And with this specific lesson, I will post another video as a secondary source in case you need a little extra help.